you ever talked before? All right, no practice.
You have to speak a little louder because this damn thing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's on, yeah.
Okay, how about if we start with you saying your name and your rank and the year that you entered the 10th Mountain?
Okay. Okay, my name is Eugene Giannobile, and I entered the 10 Mountain Division on February the 7th, 1945, as a replacement. And I came from a light military government, which was the forces of occupation in Italy, and my rank was the rank of a sergeant.
Okay. How about if you tell me a little bit about how you came to be in the 10th Mountain?
Well, the 10 Mountain Division was getting ready for the push on the Gothic line, and because we were on the attacking force, they required at least 3 times the force that the enemy has. So they came to the 8th Replacement Center, and they cleaned up the whole center. And I don't know how many they had, and that's how I ended up with the 10 Mountain Division. And I ended up with the K Company of the 85th Regiment under Richard Cooper, the captain, commander of the company, of our company, Company K. Yeah.
Now, because you're from Italy, you went to the United States,
Right.
came back. Did it seem funny to be back in your home country fighting?
No, I think that was a good deal. I would rather be here than in Japan. So I was inducted the regular way, like every other GI, yeah. And then we were shipped to Camp Croft for basic training. And from there, I was sent to Camp Ritchie, Maryland, which was a military intelligence training center. And they were training people that they spoke different languages. And then because they were getting ready to form IR platoon, intelligence reconnaissance, to do the interrogation of prisoner and construct maps, all that type of a thing. However, when I went to North Africa, I was assigned to the Allied military government of occupied territory, which these are the troops that they go after the occupation, after the forces take a town, and then somebody has to go after to establish some sorts of government. Yeah, otherwise they'll become a chaos force. Then, so and I worked most of the time with British officers, because since this was an outfit which consisted of American and English, that's what they call the Allied Control Commission. And because I was fluent in Italian, I was sent after the occupation of Naples, shortly after the 4 days of terror. I was assigned to Naples with different, there were about 108 people in that group, and they assigned me with the legal division of Naples, which I knew nothing about, since I was an expert on the communication. I was an RCA student and all of that. I knew the Morse code, but they put me in legal division, which I knew nothing about the terminology in English or Italian. I never knew. But so at night I used to study. But and I worked in Naples with the civil affair police officer of Naples. We worked in the courtroom. We would try, most of the cases that we handled were black market. And the black market were run by Americans. Because they were selling the cigarettes, they were selling clothes and everything to the black market, and then the civilian would buy, and the military police will catch them, and we will try them.
And you were part of the 10th Mountain when you did that?
No.
Oh.
This was before the 10 Mountain.
Before. Okay.
See, I was only 3 months with the 10 Mountain Division. From Belvedere on. I was in Italy already 17 months when they came over. Yeah. So that's the thing.
What was it like to be sort of thrown in with the 10th Mountain then?
Well, first of all, I had a beautiful job, and I didn't like it to go with any outfit. I don't know. First of all, when they took us, I didn't know we were going with a special outfit. We thought there was a regular division like the 88, all the other that came over. And because it was a new division, and they took so many replacements before they lost anything, we thought that this was something insignificant. Because I said, imagine, now they haven't even got the battle. They take all these replacement. What happened when they go to battle? They're going to ship more troops from the States? So that's what we were saying, yeah. And then we were saying, these people, they're still passing coke from the state. But that was the feeling of all the troops, the American troops that they were here at the time, yeah. Because Naples was full of people, of American soldiers and British soldiers. Somehow the American soldiers in Naples, they didn't like the British. They wouldn't even salute them. They didn't even were saluting them, yeah. But I found no problem with the officers, the British officers, which were very well, I mean the high-ranking officer. My officer in Naples was a colonel, yeah, Colonel Willis, and he was very, very well educated, yeah.
Because you came in at Mount Belvedere, did you feel that you had the proper training to do what they needed to do?
Oh yeah, we got this training. No, not as far as we are being trained to do only interrogation of prisoners, how to get the information out of it and so on, how to make maps going into an area, a rough map of the situation, just establish the contours and so on. We could do that by hand. We were trained to read these new aerial photos, which you would see on with three-dimensional photo. They will take two pictures, two planes at a different angle, and then when you look at the map, you'll see the height of you'll see a three-dimensional picture on the thing. We're trained for that. I don't think the British, they had that. We had to learn everything about enemy weapons, German and Italian, the organization of their armies, and so on, yeah. This we got here in Cambridge, in Maryland, yeah. So, yeah, that was, yeah. However, this didn't mean anything to me in the 10th Division because we were fighting as infantry. Yeah, like any other division.
What happened on Mount Belvedere to you? What happened?
What happened where in there?
What happened to you on Mount Belvedere?
Oh, I was assigned to Company K, and we were the 3rd battalion that went up the mountain. We weren't the first one. We were the reserve, and for that, I consider myself lucky because I wasn't the first one to be up there to be blown up by the mine, all the mines and all the tripwire and all the booby traps that the German had. So we were subject to heavy mortar fires and machine gun as we going up, which was just as bad, especially from 3 bursts. Most of the casualties were caused by mortar shells that they were coming down, and that caused the major casualty of the battle, were killed by mortar shells rather than machine gun and all the other weapons that they had, yeah.
Describe what happens when a mortar shell explodes.
Well, a mortar shell is a weapon that comes down to you, like, so even if you're on the ground and doesn't, if it explodes away from you, you can be safe, but they may come right over you, like it happened in Hill 913. And where the machine gun, you have to be right in the line of fire. Now, the German had a machine gun which scared the hell out of me. They would fire, there was the MG42, I think, was firing a rate of fire of about 1,000 rounds, 900, 1,000 rounds a minute. And if you got caught, if you got one bullet on you, you had 2 or 3 of them. That's what the people from Monte Cassino were telling me, because we dealt with a lot of people that were coming to Naples, and you were in contact with them, yeah.
What happened to you at Hill 913?
913, we were digging a foxhole, and we were so close to the mine that they were selling rifle grenades very close to us. But a mortar shell landed about a foot away from my foxhole. There were 2 of us, and we happened to be down, and destroyed my field jacket and all the thing that I had outside, yeah. And in that Hill 13, we had many casualties by mortar shells only, yeah. Well, we were subject to machine gun fire, because I saw the German on the side, about 1,000 yards away, firing it, because I was curious to see what look at above the ridge of this hill, and I would look on the other side, and I actually saw the Germans out there, yeah.
When a mortar shell explodes, can it take a lot
mortar shell is It's an oval thing, and the all fragmentation of steel. They go all over in the middle there. And if you get you get dismembered completely, yeah. And yeah, that hill was covered with mortar shells, yeah.
So you were lucky.
I was very lucky, yeah. That was the club. Other times when I was subject to 88s, when we used to go on no man's lands looking for souvenir, we were subject to fire, which we weren't supposed to be there in the first place, yeah. But you know, looking for souvenir was one of the main thing in our life in those days. Looking for Lugers and all these things, yeah.
You weren't afraid.
No, because the fire wasn't that great when we took Belvedere. Then there wasn't any more shelling on the until we started moving later on, which was the attack that took place, I think, April 14 or something like that. Yeah, and Mount Ellis Bay, and then we went to. See, I'm talking about only my company. I didn't have the view of the rest of the division. Yeah, what they were doing. Yeah.
What were you thinking when you guys were fighting on Mount Belvedere?
Well, the first thing I learned what war was, because before that I had never been in contact, so I had no idea what the thing was. Now I knew, but then you got used to it, and you live in fear every second when you're in attack or you're fighting. Yeah, but then after a while it becomes like anything else, and didn't bother me anymore. Yeah.
Did you find the men of the 10th Mountain Division to be special, unique compared with other?
Well, I didn't have, because since this was my first time in battle, I didn't know the difference, because the other troops, they were saying that the 10th Mountain Division got credit that they were Mountain Division. They said, we've been fighting here in the mountain from the beginning, from the invasion of Sicily.
Good point.
So, that's what they were saying. Yeah, because I had no idea what the.
Do you find them to be an extraordinary group of people?
Yeah, for what they did there in the River Ridge, where they climbed that mountain, that was very interesting that they did. I wasn't involved with that because we were on Belvedere, and they had to put ropes and escalate the ridge, and they got the German by surprise. Yeah. See, Today, we wouldn't do a thing like that. We would have helicopters to go there.
Ask him about the second offensive, the April offensive.
Oh, I think it was April 14 or April, yeah.
Breaking
That's
out?
where even Senator Dole was killed on that, or not killed, was wounded, and yeah, on that same hill, yeah.
Kind of describe what happened to you during that offensive.
As we start to go over. This was we started in Castellano. We were subject to very heavy mortar fire, yeah, in my section. I saw several of my friends killed along the line, and I've never seen mortar fire of that type before, yeah. They were really, and we went through, and I was lucky not to get hit, yeah, but many got, that they would, you hear screaming medics for help and so on from these fragmentation of the shells, yeah.
So, Gene, as an infantryman, were you firing at this time? I mean, is that?
No, I never had a chance to fire at the time, yeah. Because I never was faced with the enemy at close ranges, so I could see them far away, and yeah, but I never fired. I mean, we were firing in an area that we thought they were German were there and so on, that type of fire. But I never killed anybody. I never fired the real Germans coming at me. Yeah. In my platoon, and this was happening. Now, of course, in the other battalion, so on, they were actually fighting. Yeah, the real battle. Yeah.
When you were on Belvedere, did you think about the fact that your fate, or what was going to happen to everybody on Belvedere, really hinged on how successful they were on River Ridge?
No, the River Ridge was different, was more dangerous, because they had to go up with ropes up at the time. If the German knew, they would have thrown grenades on them, and the whole thing would have failed, miserable, yeah. In our case, we just walked the hill and went up to to the top, and the hill was captured and secured in that morning. Yeah, of course we were the 3rd Battalion, but we went a little later than the 1st and 2nd. They were subject to the more shells and booby traps and all that type. Yeah.
Were you happy to be back on your native soil, fighting?
Well, at the time, yeah, it doesn't matter, yeah, because, no, the reason I come back here because of the memory of the war, because I never lived in such a fear. And to see all these things, these mountains back, and really brings me back in those days of battles, yeah. And that's the most thing that I find interesting. That's why I come every time, yeah. I find it very interesting coming back in those places, yeah.
What kinds of things do you remember?
In battle, well, I remember practically everything that we did up there. Yeah, I remember.
Go ahead. Maybe you should move him into Mussolini. You occupied Mussolini's palace.
Yeah, one exciting thing that we did. We occupied the residence of Mussolini, which was Il Duce, and the Lago di Garda. Now, this villa belonged to a man named Feltrinelli, and we crossed the lake the morning of April 30th. Now, I'll tell you what happened. We crossed on the I think, a dozen of ducks, D-U-K-W. These are, what they are, yeah. I don't want you to think that we crossed the lake on Canadian geese. Or and as we were crossing, even though it was a moonless night, we could be silhouetted on the lake very easily. As we crossed, we got halfway across, we had an observer in our amphibian, and it was a major. So as we were getting close, he just stood up in the middle of the boat. We were all down because we expect fight at any time. And he was standing up and look over and so on. So some soldiers said, "We'll wait until we get close to the shore. He'll be the first one to be knocked off." But we were fortunate. The German had left. Mussolini had left the 18th. He was captured the 27th, and he was killed by the partisan the 28th. The 30th, Hitler committed suicide that day. And the 29th, the German they had unconditional surrender in Caserta, which was the Allied headquarters of our forces. And then, of course, the war ended May the 2nd, but it had already ended then. But there was still some action taking place between partisan and fascist and so on up in north of us, yeah. Mussolini got captured escaping through a German convoy with a German uniform on the west side of Lake Como, where we were about 3 years ago, in the town of Dongo. So the partisan, the partisan stopped the German column as they were moving up, and they could have fought them, but they were trapped because they blocked the road, and the German commander, he had the mountain on one side, the lake on the side, so he agreed to let the partisans search the small convoy that was, and that's how they went through and they got him. And Mussolini was under a German overcoat, and I understand he had a machine pistol. I don't know why he didn't use it, because he knew that he was going to be killed, and they got him, and that's it. And then as they were moving up to whatever they were going to bring it, because you get the story from the partisan one way, you get the story from the German. I believe more the Germans. And first of all, the partisan, they didn't want to turn in Mussolini to the Allied, yeah, because they should have done exactly like they did in Nuremberg. And that's why they killed him, yeah. And they killed the girlfriend, Claretta.
When you went to Mussolini's villa, did you know at first that he was gone, or were you thinking he might be there?
No, we know that he had left, because that same night that we landed at the villa, we landed at the north of the villa, just before the tunnels. There were tunnels to go to Riva, and that the entrances of those tunnel and exit, whatever you call it, they were being shelled before, a week before, they were to trap the German in there. But there was, when we went there was no. Oh, that same night that we arrived at Tavilla, there was an officer, an OSS officer that came to see us. And he said he had been there 4 days before, and Mussolini had left, and the German left, and yeah.
What was it like when you were in Mussolini's villa?
Well, I liked that because I could speak the language and so on when I went back there. Well, when I was in Italy, I already knew when I came here in the state in 1938, I already knew that there was going to be a war because I'd see the ships and so on in Naples and all of that, and what was going on and in the area. So I knew that. And the feeling at the time in 1939, 40, because the war started in 1939, they were all anti-war, yeah, in America, yeah. So, and that's why the Pearl Harbor, which they say was provoked by Roosevelt, because they were saying at the time that he was trying to get in the war through the back door. That's what they were saying. This was in 1939, 40, 41. That's the history that I lived through. This is not rewritten history. That's what they were saying, yeah. And then, of course, to start the Pearl Harbor, then these stupid people of Hitler and Mussolini, they declared war to the U.S., which was ridiculous, and that's how we got in the war, yeah. Oh, then another thing happened. And because I was Italian and I had only been in the country less than 5 years, I was not a citizen. And I was classified as an illegal, an illegal Italian in the country, an enemy alien, that's what they call us. We were, we had to register, fingerprinted. They issued us an ID card with a picture, but they were very nice now. We don't have to carry outside like they did in Germany with the Star of David. But nevertheless, you were not allowed to have a shortwave radio, gun, camera, flashlight, everything under the sun, and I was restricted 5 miles from my house. So if I had to go out, I had to be subject to interrogatory of the police where I went and so on. Well, I came here, I came to America not as a spy. I was classified as a fifth columnist. Yeah, there were 600,000 Italian in that condition. They weren't citizens.
But you're allowed to fight.
Yeah, but this is the insanity of that executive order of the president. Look, in this case, I had this ID card, which I was the enemy. And at the same time, I had the draft card, Class A, to report into service. Now think about this. I was the enemy on one side. I was supposed to fight for the country that had declared me its enemy, and to fight for them. And I was the enemy of the country. I had to fight with the registration that I had.
Well, briefly just say that you were born in Italy and you went to...
Well, we have records, yeah, because when we had everybody was subject to a record at the time, not because we didn't have a computer like today that they know everything. But even then...
Where were you born?
In central Italy, in the Adriatic side, which during the war belonged to the 8th Army. Because, during the war, Italy was divided in half. The British on one side, on the Adriatic side, under Montgomery, and on this other side, the Mediterranean was under General Clark. And the commander of both of them were General Alexander. I was in Naples during the Anzio beachhead, too, which before the beachhead started, we already knew. It was known, like in the streets of Naples, yeah, that there was going to be something in there, yeah. And I saw the pilots, I talked to some pilot, they bombed the monastery of Cassino, too, yeah.
When you think about your time with the 10th Mountain Division, what really stands out as like a really memorable...
Well, I remember one from Belvedere, before, just the night before we started Belvedere, I went in mind that I was going to get killed sooner or later because of what I heard from the people from Cassino. that they would lose thousands of every time they crossed the rapid. They would lose 3,000 men. That they were telling us. So that's during that time I was afraid to death I was going to be killed. Yeah, and then of course I was very lucky that I made it. But the war for me was a big experience. Yeah.
In what way?
Well, I didn't know. It cleared out a lot of things in my mind what war was. So, yeah, and it became like part of life. Well, during that time that we were there, yeah.
What were the things you learned from it?
Well, I don't know if I learned anything. It just is an adventure for me at the time. Yeah, since I was young and I wasn't anxious to see what war was, but I was against the war in the first place from the beginning, yeah. It's so...
Was it hard for you to fight in a war that you were against?
No, it didn't bother me anything to fight the war because... no, but this is what gets me. Here, I was classified as the enemy. Because they don't know the difference between ethnicity and loyalty. At the time, they didn't know. It's behind their comprehension. Now, I fought against my own people, and they classified me as an enemy, and as a man of without any sense of loyalty. That's what used to get me. Yeah.
But you were loyal.
Yeah, that's because of fault. I could have avoided the war. All I had to go to the draft board. I said, I'm the enemy. Either you naturalize me or... Oh, they did not naturalize. I'm in the army. I was the enemy until I left for Italy, yeah.
Well, why did you join
I was
them?
subject to... Oh, I didn't have the short... wasn't allowed to have a shortwave radio. When I went into the army, basically they made me a radio operator. I was subject to... I knew all the frequencies that they were operating. I was subject to a lot of things they were, especially in Camp Ritchie. A lot of things that they were secret. I had my hands on it. If I was the enemy, I could have...
Now, you could have opted out at any time.
Yes. No, at the draft board.
Right.
Yeah. When I got the draft registration, I could have gone there.
But why didn't you?
Well, I think that I would have... I was loyal to America at the time. I liked America. That's why, since that was the fulfillment of my dream since I was a boy, I wanted to come over here. So I didn't want to have anything against, in my record, that I was a fifth column type of man, yeah.
Did it hurt you to have to come back and fight against your countrymen?
No, to me, a war didn't mean anything. Well, I was worried that I wasn't going to get killed. That didn't mean anything to me, yeah. Look, I was young at the time, and I didn't have political idea or anything like that, so I didn't... all I know that that what they did to me was not right, yeah. They declared me an enemy and then send me to war for the country that declared me the enemy. That's what bothers me the most, yeah. Even today, yeah, when I think back. See,
when you think back on your 10th mountain, being with the 10th mountain, what stands out?
Yeah, the 10th mountain, I really liked them. I met a lot of nice people, and I was happy to be with a special outfit of that type, yeah. Because everything was infantry at the time, and this was a special outfit of mountain troop training, skiing, and all of that. Yeah, I really enjoyed to be with the division. Yeah, that's why I've attended every reunion. Yeah, otherwise, if I had anything against the division, that's the first thing I would have never attended to. So that was the short story of.
A short story of your life.
Of the war, yeah.
Let me get a shot of your badge here. Giannobile.
Right.
Giannobile.
Right.
Gene.
And it's short for Eugene. I thought I heard you say.
Oh, another thing, they called me Gene instead of Eugene because I'm known as the sanitary kid. Every time people see me, they say, "Hi, Gene."
Oh. Lucky you. Lucky. Can you think of anything else?
No, not at this